We're back. It's season 2 of Mash and Mingle. We've got a whole new setup. We've got new drinks. We've got exciting things to discuss, sip, enjoy. It's the same people. It's a different vibe. And the legend himself, Aidan Brown, is back in the building as well. And let's see what we've got to offer for season 2.
Thanks, Ben. Great to have you here, man. Always nice to have a bit of a banter and a drink with you.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the second season of Mash and Mingle. Thank you to everybody that provided feedback and a little bit of help with our pilot season. That is obviously available online to watch now, and it was fantastic. There's a lot of great information available in that. Ben and I really went through a couple of interesting things in the South African liquor industry. So if you're interested in learning about tequila or more specifically about South African whiskies, that episode is out now. So please follow us, like and subscribe on Black and Brown Productions under Mash and Mingle. And that can be found on YouTube and very shortly on all other major platforms.
All the social platforms, 100%.
The thing that is most exciting about today is we're finally going to get around to tasting that Japanese whiskey that we mentioned in one of the last episodes. And what a fantastic opportunity this is. It's a bottle that's quite rare. You definitely don't see it very often. Even Japanese whiskeys, you just kind of, sort of don't see very often.
Quality, yeah.
Yeah, they're obviously making an appearance now on the South African market. There's definitely a lot of importers bringing them in. You see that they're pushing them very hard. I see Suntory whiskey, a BT whiskey. Stuff's quite expensive. It's not cheap, Ben. The Japanese, like I said in the last episode, they produce in very, very small productions, very small scales. And that even reflects in the bottle size. So you'll see even the bottle sizes that the Japanese often release are only 500 mils. And it's quite interesting because the South African whiskey industry is also quite a small whiskey industry. We're a bit of a niche industry to the world, and our bottles are obviously produced on global standards for export, 700 or 750 mils. I have been having one small problem with this bottle, Ben. We're quite early into our run at Mash and Mingle,
yes.
And things have been fantastic so far.
Oh yeah,
but
here it comes.
I'm slightly worried about being cancelled before we get this thing too far off the ground, and I'll tell you why. Our latest bottle has somewhat of an interesting name. I don't know if you want to take a crack at pronouncing it. I'm certainly not going to take a crack at pronouncing it. It's something from the barrel, Ben.
Something from the barrel. So what we have here is, and I think, thank goodness I'm here. This little pint-size item that could get someone into a hell of a lot of trouble is spelled Nikka. So if you're from anywhere else in the world, I think it would be now pronounced Nikka. Nikka, Nikka, but in some South African languages, the K's are pronounced as G's, which could very well get a lot of people into trouble. So, look, for the purpose of the podcast and not being cancelled and the sanctity of our platform, we will remain calling it Nikka whiskey, the beautiful offering from Japan. Shall I pop it open and see what the
pop
size
take a
has
look
to offer?
These guys are one of the biggest producers in all of Japan. They have a massive production, just a huge variety of whiskies that they produce. And they're also obviously one of the longest producing distilleries in Japan. Mm. The reason for that is that I think in the late 19th century, sometime around the 19th century, they sent a bunch of spirits masters from Japan over to Scotland, and they learned the trade from the Scottish. And in true Japanese style, they did it with a little bit of precision, a little bit of flair, a little bit of artisan culture. They really introduced into their whiskey producing methodologies and culture, and even the way they drink it's slightly different. I notice a lot of people in Japan drink what's called a highball. So they'll take a really good whiskey, they'll throw in a bunch of ice, and they'll bring it to the top with water. They'll dilute it quite heavily. Okay. And obviously for a lot of people that's an absolute sin.
It's sacrilege that, in many circles.
But I actually must say I admire the Japanese whiskey drinking culture for that reason, because they just say that's how we enjoy it, that's how we do it here, it suits our palates, we like it, and they just get on with it. They kind of ignore the rubbish, the kind of snobbery that comes from whiskey drinking. So I kind of admire that to some extent.
Yeah, I think it's also something that you mentioned in the past. I think we've covered a range of different whiskies, and we've spoken about how different palates, different styles of consuming aren't always wrong. So I mean, who's going to fly over to Japan and say, guys, actually, this is not how you're supposed to be doing it? So I think you might catch a bit of a roundhouse if you step on the wrong toes there.
They're highly, highly sought after by the global market now. It started around about 10 or 15 years ago that the Japanese whiskies just started winning medals at every major competition, even beating out Scottish brands in Scottish competitions, Irish brands in Irish competitions. Just a fantastic global production. Sure. The problem with the Japanese stuff is that because they produce in relatively small scales, supply and demand issues, their prices just go like kind of high, and that's the problem. So it's a real treat to be able to get stuff like this. And up until 10 years ago, they just weren't available in the South African market. There kind of wasn't anything out there. Now you can go into any major liquor outlet in South Africa, any of the bigger guys, and they keep if nothing else, a small range, but a range of Japanese whiskies. And what a fantastic opportunity to be able to sample something from another part of the world, from a different production culture, maybe something with a different flavor profile. Even the packaging is really cool.
No, it's fantastic. And I did say before that was short in stature, and I don't know if it's to give this idea of exclusivity, or if they're trying to, I guess, emulate the general stature of the Japanese population, not being the tallest individuals in the world. But it's fine. We'll go with what they have here. Let's pop it open.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me grab us a couple of glasses. Fantastic. This particular guy, Nikka From The Barrel, and the reason they call it From The Barrel is because it comes straight from the barrel. So most whiskies are obviously diluted down to global export and import laws. So in South Africa, most whiskey imported will be at 43%, and you need to pay a little bit of extra tax if you want alcohol that's at a higher content. The higher the alcohol content in the bottle, usually it has a slight amount of harshness to it, but there's a lot more flavor in it. So they call this From The Barrel. And the reason is because they take it straight out of the barrel. It comes out at
51-ish?
Over 50%, 51.5%, and that it is 51.4. So the reason they say out the barrel is they do not dilute it at all. They don't play with anything. They don't change anything. They literally take it out the barrel, goes into the bottle, and it's sold just like that. So it'll be taxed at a slightly higher level. It's very exclusive Japanese whiskies, so there's an exclusivity price that you pay on them. Yeah. This particular one was voted just a year or two ago the world's best blended whiskey, one of the world's best blended whiskeys. There's a lot of competitions and of course it's a lot of marketing and that kind of thing. But that's really impressive. It's beaten out some huge major global players, guys that have been in the game and distributing on global markets for a huge amount of time. So for this to win a competition like that and to get its name out there, I mean, that's really impressive. And the product, I have tasted it before, I must be honest, Ben. The product, it kind of does match up. But you got to remember that you're going to pay for that exclusivity. I mean, something like this, I think it's around 800 to 1,200 rand a bottle on the South African market. You can't always get it. But if you really want to impress somebody, if you would like to buy somebody just a unique, amazing whiskey gift, something for your boss or something for your father-in-law if you like them.
Maybe something for one of your black friends. You might take it with a pinch of salt and a bit of tongue in cheek. Yeah,
you better be a good friend because you might not be friends for long. I luckily enough do like my father-in-law. I would potentially buy him a bottle or something like this, or at least give him a taste. There's nothing else you want to buy bottles, but for some father-in-laws you would rather, I guess, go get the cheap stuff from the back of the cabinet.
Nice. What I did also read before we have a quick slide of this guy is apparently the Nikka brand doesn't just make whiskey. They also dabble in a bit of gin and vodka. So there's a nice little range of items. So if you aren't necessarily a whiskey fan, you want to try something else from their stable, the gin and vodka offerings apparently also way up there.
It's true. They've got an amazing distillery culture. And the same way that a brand like Sedgwick's or KWV will have a range of products in-house. Even Amarula now, they're making gin under the Amarula brand. So once you've set up at this distillery and you have production excellence in that field, it's kind of fairly easy to branch out and still carry on that finesse of quality, that overall... I mean, just look at it. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just really cool. Typical Japanese branding. They just know how to make a really cool artisan product.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it and have a good go at this one. Almost a wine barrel oakiness to it. Definitely in the smelling notes right up front, wine barrel oakiness, no doubt about it. I know that it is obviously punched full of oak. And this is known to be a full-flavored or full-bodied whiskey. In other words, it kind of has a little bit of everything going on.
Is that's again sort of from the blends that we've spoken about, I think, in previous episodes and that you mentioned earlier. Ben will do that as well.
They really, really know their market. And what I think they've done with this particular bottle is they've tried to make something a little bit like Johnny Walker Black that really appeals to a broad global market. And they found a little bit of flavor that will really appeal to every kind of palate. The only thing that I would say, maybe a slightly more experienced drinker would appreciate this more because there's a lot going on in this particular glass. Remember, it's 51.4%, so some whiskies or most whiskies will be between 40 and 45. So that extra 10-12% alcohol on the bottom really does give a lot more flavor punch, a lot more on the nose up front. But there's a lot going on in the mouth. So for some people, you might be a very casual whiskey drinker. Some people are very happy with the Jamesons. Doesn't have too much flavor, not much going on there. It's very smooth. It goes down really nicely. This is not going to be like that. This is going to give it a little bit of a hit of flavor.
All right. Well, let's give it a whirl. It is my first try of the Japanese offering.
It's not smoky, not on the nose. You definitely notice that fullness. It just covers the whole mouth, and then you get a hit of flavor up the back of the nose. And it's weird to me because this is never described as a smoky whiskey, but for some reason I get a charred smell on the back of the palate.
There is a slight smokiness that's happening over there, and I don't know. I mean, it's a combination of smokiness and that wooded barrel flavor. But the smokiness, I don't know where that would.
I'm not sure if they put a peated, some kind of peated whiskey in here to maybe give it that flavor, or if they're simply using charred barrels in their production, kind of like Jack Daniels do, or Jameson on their Select Reserve. They use charred barrels. What a fantastic flavor profile they get on the charred barrel Jamesons. You've got the toffee, you've got the caramel, you've got the vanilla. Then on the back end, you've got that slight smoky charredness that we spoke about. And there's definitely a floral fruitiness that you get right up front before that hit of smoke comes at the back. And I get a slight flavor and smell of cut grass, a little bit of chlorophyll in the blend. I'm getting a little bit of nutmeg and walnut, I guess. It's a truly fantastic drink. This can I tell you what I would love to try? I don't usually do this, but because the alcohol content is so high, Woolies water.
100%. Yeah. The game. Well, this is how the Japanese do it, and then who are we to...
I'm not going to go too big. I just want to put a dash, just a tiny, like a droplet of water in, just to open it up a little bit. I just want to see. Can I tell you, once I put that dash in, it makes it so smooth, so you still get that flavor profile. I personally, because the alcohol content is so high, I would really recommend to people to put a dash of water in this just to break down that flavor a little bit. Ben?
100%. I'd agree. The splash of water does help a hell of a lot. And I think what's also quite nice is a block of ice. I know you mentioned that's how they do it overseas. Definitely, I think a block or two of ice in there. Chill it a little bit, and I think we've got a fantastic little drink over there.
So what people do is they say, no, you've got to drink your whiskey this way, and you've got to drop it, and you've got to have it raw. It's like, have you drunk whiskey in South Africa in the middle of summer? Don't let the whiskey snobs tell you can't throw in a block of ice, or even just the tiniest chip of ice I sometimes throw into the drink, just to slightly chill it, just to bring the heat off just a little bit. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I won't listen to the whiskey snobs who tell me otherwise. So I maybe drink neat, but something like this to throw in an ice chip, fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Well, it's an absolute beauty. I'm glad to have given this a whirl and a try. But yeah, do yourselves a favor, go out, give this one a try. If you're able to, again, you heard it's a fantastic one to gift. And if you are going to be consuming it with friends or family or out and about, make sure that you're doing it responsibly. If you are driving, make sure that you've got a safe way to get home, and always be safe.
Ben, it's been fantastic to share this with you.
Cheers,
bro. Till next time. Thanks for joining us. I'm Aidan. This is Ben. Thanks for coming to Mash and Mingle. Bye for now.